Here we go again.
Da, 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 da.
Yep. Okay, what were we going to start with? I already forgot.
I know like we were talking about, I don't think I brought up Travis Walton.
No, you did not.
I know I brought a little bit up about Clifford Stone and the famous picture of the White House with the UFOs around it.
Yeah, but
I brought up a little bit about CE5. I don't know if I fully delved into that topic. I think I talked a little bit about it.
yeah, let's
Um,
let's start there and then we can
okay.
go into the other since, C5 will be a very interesting topic for when we're at Ashmore next year.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Um, So it's becoming a lot more mainstream now. Like even so like I don't know any of her work, but I guess she's like an actress or a songwriter, Demi Lovato.
Okay. Yeah, I've
She
heard of her.
even Yeah, so she even does CE5s with Dr. Greer.
Really?
Yeah, so a lot of people know about it now. It's like when I first started talking about it like 2 years ago, people were like, "What's that?" And now they're like, "Wait, you do CE5s?" It's like, yeah, you know what that is?" So, CE5 stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and that was, I guess you could say, coined by Dr. Stephen Greer, back in the 70s. So, I think it was Alan Hynek who created the first close encounters. So there's close encounters of the first kind is like you see a UFO.
Yeah.
Second kind, you see physical evidence of it, like burnt tree or crop circle. Third kind is you see an occupant. Fourth kind is abduction, and then fifth kind is human initiated contact, where we try to contact them first. Um, so in 2020, obviously nobody was doing jack shit.
For
So
sure.
it's interesting because how found out about it was just by accident. I was quote sleeping, and I'm putting that in quotes because for all I know it was real, but I was sleeping and I had a quote dream where I like woke up and I looked by the like this way, which is where the like kind of the door is. We have like a little alcove that comes to the bedroom,
Okay.
and I saw an ET poke his head around the corner, and it wasn't short. It was like 6 feet tall, and it had really really big bulbous head, and then I saw its eyes, and it smiled at me, and it had teeth even,
Okay.
which isn't you don't really hear stuff like that, excuse me,
No.
like that a lot. So I like freaked out and was hitting it, you're not going to take me, you're not going to take me, like leave me alone, and I'm hitting it, and all it did was smile at me. And and then I woke up as like that was freaking weird. Okay. And then I was just on Amazon looking for something to watch, and then it actually came up Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And I'm like, well, what is this? And I read the description. I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And I watched it and was like fascinated. I'm like, that is different. Like that people do this? Like what? And so one of the premises is you cannot be fearful whatsoever. Like if like you see an ET being, well, anything, honestly, anything that's different than you, and you become afraid, they're not going to want to hang around you. That's a
Yeah,
very
for sure.
low vibration. So I was like, all right, well, the first thing is to make sure you're not scared, is pretty much what they say. And then you can work your way up to actually doing CE5. So I'm like, okay. So I started envisioning like an ET poking its head into my bedroom, like for about 2 weeks or so. And then I had the same quote dream where that same ET poked his head into my bedroom, and like I felt the fear like come up really quickly, and then I'm like, "Ugh, don't be afraid," and I pushed it down, and then it smiled at me and it left. So I don't know if that was real, but it's really interesting how those two dreams kind of correlated while
Yeah.
in between watching that, and it was the same scenario and the same looking ET being. So that's how I pretty much got introduced into CE5s. And then was like looking for people to to join to actually do them, like in out in the field and stuff.
Yeah.
And Dr. Greer has an app called CE5, and you can network and try to find people that way. And I
Okay.
ended up finding a Facebook group and joined that. And my very first one was, I think, May of 2021. I think that's when it was. And it was that group was, I guess you could say, in control by somebody else who left, and now it's my group. And he got Ed Moen to come down from Wisconsin, and Ed Moen's the one that was healed at one of Dr. Greer's CE5s in 2017. He was deaf from like middle school, high school until he went to a CE5.
Interesting.
So like there's actually he's in the film and there's pictures of him from high school with like the hearing aids and stuff. So there's like literal proof that he had hearing aids before, and he has always been very spiritual, and says that he talks with like Jesus Christ and stuff like that and other beings. And he went to the CE5 and saw, well, first they got, there's this picture that you can see like a triangle headed being behind him, and like it looks like Ed's like on the edge of his seat, and he did say that like when that was happening he felt like electricity. He's like, I wanted to jump out of my seat, but something told me to stay put, so I stayed put.
Yeah.
And then they all went back to their rooms to go to bed, and he said that he kind of like heard like, hey, come outside, like in his head. So he went outside and there was this little red orb floating around, so he was playing like hide and seek with it all night. And then he's like, all right, I really got to go to bed. The sun's coming up soon. So, have a good night, have fun. And he went to sleep and then woke up the next morning and was tired. So he didn't grab his hearing aids. And he went to breakfast. And then he's like, oh, I forgot my hearing aids. But then he realized that he could actually hear people talking, and he could actually hear like the music in the kitchen and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so like he can hear to this day. Like I just saw him in May and everything. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but it was so cool meeting him in person, because that's like everybody's dream is to be healed of an ailment that you have
Right.
no control over.
Yeah. So for your experience with C5, is it better to do like daytime or nighttime, or does that really matter?
I like the nighttime because even if nobody experiences anything, you can still see the sky and it's pretty.
Yeah.
Like we'll see meteors every now and then. Um like I've seen stuff during the day, but I guess you could say it's quote easier at nighttime, because
Yeah.
a lot of the
Makes
time
sense.
during the day, if you see something shiny in the sky, you're gonna just automatically think it's a plane. And they do disguise themselves as planes at night and daytime. Literally experienced that before.
Okay. That's good to know.
So like, when a plane's coming and it's a bright white light, and then it'll like blink and stuff, you're like, oh,
Yep.
that's a plane. That's what they'll do. So like when I was still smoking cigarettes, I was outside smoking a cigarette, and I saw a bright white light, and it was when I was in the literally like just starting the CE5 stuff and trying to meditate every night to get that connection going. And I was like, oh my God, is that you? Is that one of you guys? Like, could you like flash at me if it's you? Like, I was all excited, and it powered up. So that's when it got really, really bright, and then it dimmed down. And I was like, oh my God. And before I could even like think, could you please do it again? It did it again. And I was like, holy crap, oh my God. And I'm like freaking out. And then Steve walks outside, and I was like, babe, there's a UFO right there. Like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And he looked at it and he's like, babe, that's a fucking plane. And I'm like, no, it's not. And I looked at it and it was blinking like it was a fucking airplane. I was like, you guys suck.
Right.
But like, they won't show themselves to anybody that isn't ready.
Okay.
So that's what I try to like when I host mine, I have to make sure that everybody's ready, because there might be four people in the group that are so ready and they know it, but there's one person that is not ready. So they will not show themselves
Okay.
because that one person is not ready for it. How they, I mean, it's telepathic probably. Um, so whenever the person that was in charge of this group was in charge of it, I'm trying to think how to word this right. He didn't exactly do what I do, where I talk to somebody for a couple months, make sure they have no fear, make sure they're ready for it. And he ended up having this one lady there. She always just gave me like bad vibes. Like I'm like, I gotta, I don't know. She gives me bad vibes. I just feel off
Hmm.
whenever she would attend, and whenever she would attend, we would never have anything happen. And then when she wasn't there, stuff would happen. So I found that kind of interesting. And then there's been ones that I've hosted, and somebody like brought their sister or their kid or something, like a 13 or 14-year old, and then nothing would happen. And then the next time I did one, that person wasn't there, and something would happen.
Okay.
So that's why like I run mine the way that I do. I always make sure I talk to anybody new. I want to make sure everybody is cohesive and gets along and stuff, because that's the most important thing, is the cohesion.
Yeah.
Because if you're excited to see everybody and you guys already have love for each other, then that's going to amplify the positive energy that you're trying to send to them, to be like, "Hey, come down and say hi. We're loving people. We won't hurt you." So if
Yeah.
there's already all that love for each other, then that's just going to be amplified.
Yeah. Yeah. I reached out to a couple that investigated with back over the summer. I'm like, hey, I go, you guys want to join the Ashmore investigation in June? And we're going to do a little C5 experiment. It's like no hesitation. She's like, yes, we're there.
That's so funny. Well, like I said, give me their info since
I
I'll be
will.
facilitating it, and then I can chit chat with them, because I know lots of people that are like, "Oh, I want to do that," but it could be internal, or they might not even think that they might have some fear, and they actually do. Because I mean, if you think about it, everybody wants to do a CE5.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh my God, cool. Like I'll get to see aliens. This is cool." And I actually don't like that word, but that's like one of the first things that I try to teach people is don't say alien, say extraterrestrial or
Yeah.
ET. Alien is kind of derogatory and brings like a fear vibration because of Hollywood. And that's
Yeah.
exactly why Hollywood's done what it's done. Aliens resurrection, Alien versus Predator, and it's always the aliens are mean and evil and they want to eat
Yeah.
people. And it's like that's not how it is. So it gets everybody scared. So if ETs do happen to pop by, everyone's going to be freaked out. If they're trying to help us, everybody's going to be freaked out.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, trying to find people for that, it's like I'm going, for people that like, I've talked to that have, you know, investment in extraterrestrial stuff already. So,
Oh, okay.
and then hopefully Katie will be able to join us if it works out.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, definitely has some interesting stuff when it comes to that ranch and everything, because that's what she talked about
Yep.
at the Ozark conference when I met her. Like her and my friend Trey were like at the same table. It was so funny. And like Trey and I we still talk all the time. He's gonna be at the Contact Modalities Expo in May, the one I went to this past May with like Jimmy Church and Chris Bledsoe. Who else was there? Scott Walter was there, Haley Ramsey. So it was a lot of fun. So I'm excited for that in May. It's in Delavan Lake, Wisconsin, and it's like on a resort and everything.
Okay.
So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing. So you can get a room there or get a room like at a hotel somewhere, and then that place, the resort actually has like restaurants and stuff too. So like me and my friend
Oh,
would
nice.
wake up, go get something to eat, go to the presentations for a while and get lunch or get dinner. And they had a we were supposed to do a CE5 Friday night. but we got rained out, so we tried to do it inside, and unfortunately nothing really happened. And then Saturday, they decided to try to redo it. So we were outside till like 10:30, and we both, we had to wake up relatively early because my friend booked us massages there. And so we're like, all right, we're gonna go in. And then I find out later from other friends that were there, like 10 minutes after we went inside, people saw shit. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. So, with the Northern Lights last week, was that picture you sent me with what looked like the UFO, or was that something you saw from
No,
somebody else?
um s- so there one of them was somebody that I actually know that took that in Maine. And then the
Okay.
other one I happened to find in one of my Northern Light groups.
Okay.
Uh, let me go back it so I know which one is which really quick here. Here we go. Okay, yeah, because so one of them was a comet, I think, and then the other one, it legit looks like a UFO in the picture. Like, because the one is like zoomed in and it looks like
Yeah.
an old school UFO. Yeah, that's the one from my friend.
Okay.
And then the comet was kind of cool. That's why, like, when you were like, I think I might have seen something while I was watching the Northern Lights, I'm like, you aren't the only one.
Well, I know because like when Natalie and I were sitting out there, it's like we saw something that looked like a drone, but it was just a solid red light moving,
Hmm.
and like most drones have the blinking red and green lights, and
Yeah,
there was no green light, just a solid red light, and we watched it for a while, and then it was just gone.
yeah. Because, like, that's one thing. It's like I get drones, but they drive me nuts because if you're actually trying to sky watch and see something, you might be like, oh, it's a UFO, and it's just a stupid drone.
But like the thing is, it was like, it was low enough where it could have been a drone,
Hmm.
but like where it came from by where we were to how far away it was going to be, that drone would have been like a very powerful drone because it just kept going further and further away. I don't know if how, different categories of drones there for like distance travel, but this thing was going pretty far away.
Interesting. Okay. My friend Michelle actually has sent me footage a few different times. Like, hey, what is this? I'm like the ET person, UFO person for everybody I know. And like one of them, I'm like, I think that is a drone because it looks like it's blinking red and green. And then another one she sent me, it was like a white color with a little red light, but it wasn't really blinking. And it was also higher up than the other one. So I'm like, I don't know, that one might actually be like a UFO, not a drone. So like, but same with like planes and stuff when we're doing CE5s, like I'll get all excited seeing a bright white light
Yeah.
and then it gets closer and I'm like, ah.
Well, like, that night too, I was sending Katie pictures and she goes, they said they got some cool video and they saw some strange things as well out in Colorado.
Yeah.
And like she even saw like a bright white flash at one point.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, because the a
So,
lot of the northern lights that night were red, which
yeah.
is it's more rare if you think about it. You don't really see red. You usually see green and like pink, sometimes purple or blue. Red's really rare. So it kind of made me think of like a like Revelations or some shit.
Well,
Like, oh,
right,
the
because like,
skies turn red.
yeah, I found a picture on Facebook for like the Reds. Those are like above 150 miles.
Yep.
And it says here, excited atomic oxygen at high altitudes, only visible under intense solar activity due to low concentration of oxygen at high altitudes.
Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, so
So,
like here we mostly had reds and then greens.
yeah, we had red and green down here as well. I know even people in Florida were getting the red, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think out east they were getting some purples and pinks. Like Watchusett Mountain, which is about 45 minutes west of Boston, so it's kind of a little bit more in the middle of the state. Uh, oh my God, some of the pictures I saw from that night there is like amazing. Like just literally just color. There was no sky. It was just straight up colors. It
That'd
was
be
so
awesome.
pretty. And then you could see all the other mountains from the Berkshires and stuff in the background. So yeah, oh man, I wish I would have gone out that night, but honestly, I'm one of the people that all of the aurora borealis happening so often is making me kind of nervous because it used to be really, really, really rare for it to come down this
Oh,
south where I'm
yeah.
at, and now it's almost twice a year and it's like, eh.
Well, I know it's like the last time I saw him before this was last October, and a
hmm
friend of mine that lives in Wisconsin, he's probably seen him like 12 times this year from his porch. It's like
Wow. Yeah, I can
where it's getting to the point
imagine.
where it's like, okay, it's like every other week, it seems like.
Yeah, which there's a an ET race in the Sandia Mountain in in New Mexico called the Ponties, PNTI. I have a friend who um I'm trying to think how to word this right. They communicate with him a lot and they try to communicate with other people, but we don't have the telepathic abilities that some people do or that the ETs do. Like almost all ETs, it's all telepathic. Like there is no talking. That's why they have like no mouth.
Hmm.
Um And so Kevin and her name's Sue Walker, she accidentally tuned into them one time a very long time ago and she started like talking with them, telepathically, same with Sasquatch. Like she talks telepathically with Sasquatch.
Okay.
And so they actually have a like I don't really call it a book, but like a manual called the telepathic primer, and it's literally exercises that you can do every day to become more telepathic for open communication with the Ponte. And like try to find people who can hear them so they can talk to them. So the Ponte have been under the Sandia Mountain in New Mexico for a very, very, very long time. And they've been pretty much kind of warning anybody they can that the sun will go nuclear and we're going to have more and more solar storms before that happens. So like the past few days where it's been just like nonstop solar storms, I'm just like, oh,
Right.
is the sun gonna blow up in my lifetime? So
So,
that's in
and then
yeah.
like, going with like the solar flares and all that, I just gotta ask you, I don't know if we brought it up last time. Three Eye Atlas, what are your thoughts on that? Is that anything or
My
is that
my one friend actually asked me that the other day too. So I don't watch the news. I stay off of all of that stuff because all it is fear-based bullshit.
the same
So
here?
my intuition and what my gut is telling me is it is a ship, but it's not here to harm us at all. It's just checking on us pretty much. Like some people will argue with me and that's fine if you don't agree with me, but we are pretty much extraterrestrial DNA. They created us.
Yeah.
So they do believe in God. So we are technically of God, but we were created by extraterrestrials a very long time ago. So that's why people get abducted because they're making sure everything works okay and they're checking on us. And then we do get, ships that fly by and stuff. ETs also had a lot to do with all of our technological advances, even with like Egypt and stuff. And I do believe that there were ETs that walked the earth a very long time ago, but the humans became too violent and like humans are known to kill what's different from them. And I think that's what happened. So I think 3-1 Atlas is just a big ship that is coming by to check on us as well as to see how we react to it because there's a lot of footage of ships coming towards the atmosphere and the I guess you could say the secret government programs will shoot at them. And like there's a famous video of a ship like coming closer and closer and closer to the Earth's atmosphere, and then you see a flash and you see something shoot past it or right at it, and it like
Okay.
moves really quickly and out of the way. Um, and there's lots of different footage of that. Like Dr. Greer has a ton of footage like that, and that's probably like again, I think that's what 3-1 Atlas is it's coming by to check on us and to see how we react as a collective. They
Okay.
know the government is sinister and will shoot at them because guess what? If the ETs do come down, who's been lying to us for how many years now? And they're not going to want to admit that.
Right.
So the ETs have been working on like a soft disclosure behind the scenes, so like that's why they're appearing more often to people like randomly in the sky than they did before. Like there's so many people that are just randomly seeing like UFOs and stuff. And like that they'll be doing formations or like they'll like stop and then zip off. Like they literally are like, "See? I'm not an airplane. Look what I can do."
Yeah.
And more and oops, that's happening more and more nowadays than it was before because the ETs are honestly getting sick of this shit. They're like, all right, we do exist, you guys. Like your government's stupid, so we're just gonna start showing ourselves more often.
Yeah. So for a CE5, have you ever done that like with the paranormal investigation or just, keep it separate?
Um, yes and no. So, where unfortunately where I've been doing my CE5s, my shaman teacher's moving to Wichita. So I can't do them there anymore. It sucks because her land was perfect because she was my shaman teacher. So the land loved us. Like we gave offerings and we're like, hey, where this is what we're gonna be doing, spirits. We don't mean any disrespect. You're more than welcome to communicate too. Um, so like we would get SLS figures. We would see like little orbs and stuff. I think we came into contact with some fae before or ghosts. And then I think we saw like a Bigfoot in the woods because this SLS figure was like fucking 10 feet tall
Oh,
and it was
geez.
shaking its fist at us. One of the last ones that my friend Jack had me facilitate, we actually came into contact with Fae there that like they literally said we're Fae. And there were a couple spirits there as well, like native spirits. And then there was this one spirit named James that came through. So like if other stuff comes through, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Um so like it's not like I'm only trying to contact ETs. Anything that like when I do the protective circle, I literally say any anything that is of love and light and good vibration is allowed to communicate and you are allowed in this circle. Anything that has harmful intent, you are not allowed in this circle. So that's what I do for every CE5.
Okay.
So, I mean, if the spirits of Ashmore want to be nice and play with us, that is perfectly fine.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's probably gonna be one of my favorite investigations next year just because of that element and, something a little different.
Yeah, and it's in the middle of nowhere, so that's why I'm like, oh, this will be fun because we'll be able to see the sky, and
Yep,
I've got
there's
like the
like
perfect camera
so
for that.
I've never been to Ashmore at night, only a day, but there's like right behind it, there's a huge cornfield. In front of it, there's a gravel road and another huge cornfield. But yeah, you're in
Hmm.
the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah, that's my shaman teacher. That's how it was. Like she had neighbors, but they were like, a cornfield apart, you
Yeah,
know? So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And then like I said, I've been doing it for so long, it's like almost like second nature to me. Like I would love to go do it at the old driving range that I used to live across the street from, but that's on Indian burial ground. So it's like they Native Americans though, they were one with that all of that stuff. Like they knew we came from the stars and everything. It's just since it's a burial ground, I would never want to be disrespectful.
right. Yeah. All right, let's jump into the Travis Walton case. I'm interested on that because that is something I've never heard of before.
Okay, so Have you ever heard of the movie Fire in the Sky?
Yes.
Okay, so that's Hollywood's take on it. And
Okay.
unfortunately, that movie fucked my head up. And that's why I was terrified of extraterrestrials because they,
Wasn't wasn't that movie like 93 or
yep,
94 or something like that?
93. Yep. So, all right, let me go all the way back up here. So Travis Walton, he was quote unquote taken on November 5th, 1975 in Snowflake, Arizona. So he was like a logger and like, they would cut down trees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so him and I think it was like his best friend and his brother-in-law. So it was all people that he knew and, they were friends, they cared about each other. It was that was their group. So after they were done for the day, they were, driving home and they noticed something like strange, like this weird light in like the trees. And they're like, "Who's having a bonfire right now? This is weird." So they drove up like where they saw the light, and there was this big reddish colored ball floating, and it was like huge. It wasn't like an orb, it was like huge. In this section like of trees, and they were like, "What is that?" And Travis was the one that got out of the car and, he went to go closer to see where it was. And of course, his friends were like, "What are you doing? Get in the car, get back in the car. What the hell are you doing?" And then they saw that like this light like went on him and like lit him up. And then he got thrown backwards like 50 feet.
Okay.
So they thought that whatever that was attacked him and killed him. So they freaked out. They drove off, and then his best friend and his brother-in-law are like, "No, we're going back. We're gonna go get him. We're going back. Like, if you guys want to stay here, you could stay here. We're fucking going back." So two of the guys just stayed on the side of the road while the other ones went back to where they were to go get, quote, Travis's body. And when they went there, he was nowhere to be found. Like they couldn't find him. They looked everywhere. And they logged that section of forest every single day. So they know the area.
Yeah.
Um so they looked for him like for hours and they couldn't find him. And they, obviously the ship was gone. And so they went back into town and they went to the police station and said that Travis is missing. They couldn't find him. And they explained what happened. And obviously they were like, "You guys are fucking crazy." And so they did like do full searches of the whole area, dogs, everything that they did in the 70s. And nobody could find him. Like even the dogs like didn't pick up his scent anywhere aside from where he actually disappeared. Um, and I think it was like 5 or 6 days later, in the middle of the night, his sister's phone rang, and it was his brother-in-law. Pretty much picked it up, and he was like, who is this? And Travis was like, "It's Travis," and he was like, "Okay, this isn't funny, dude. Like, you're not Travis. Like, shut the fuck up. Don't call here." And he was like, "No, it's Travis. It's Travis. I swear to God." And he's like, "This is where I'm at." And so they went and they got him, and I think it was like a gas station of sorts or something, like in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't horribly far though. It was like about like a half hour from where he got taken.
Okay.
And so they went to pick him up and he was like, "What happened and everything?" And they were like, "Dude, you've been gone for like a week." He's like, "No, I haven't." They're like, "You have, feel your face." And like he felt his face and he had, like a week's growth of
Yeah.
beard. And he was like, what the hell? I was only gone like tonight. Like I wasn't gone a week." And then they brought him to the hospital and he was like really dehydrated and malnourished. So they gave him like fluids and hydrated him up and everything. And then I think he was let go after a day or two. And like everybody was asking him what happened and stuff. And he was being honest. He was like, "This is what happened." But he didn't fully go into like detail of everything. He just said that he got blasted by something and then, he was taken. He didn't know where he was. Um, and then he saw beings that weren't human. And again, he didn't really go into too much detail, but it turns out that it was different types of grays as well as humans. Like he saw humans with like a glass bowl on their head, like a
Okay,
spacesuit type of thing.
interesting.
And the whole reason that they took him was because they didn't know that he was there, and he got really messed up with the ship's power source because it was letting off radiation. So when they
Okay,
accidentally like hit him, they were like, "Oh crap!" So they grabbed him and held him. Um, and one of the coolest things, well, especially about technology today, is there's actual still to this day physical evidence of that UFO being there. So there's this one guy named Ben Hansen. He's in a lot of different shows now. He was FBI. I actually got to meet him. Dude's like 7 feet tall.
nice,
um, but he has like he Ghosts of Morgan City. He's on that one. Factor Fiction, something unexplained, and then he does guest appearances in a lot of different shows. Like he's been a guest on like Jack Osborne's show, with Nick Groff, a bunch of stuff.
nice.
So he went there with a few different people to check out the area, and sure enough, the area um where the UFO was, there's like this perfect circle of dead grass and radiation. So like when they actually went to look for Travis, one of the guys on the police force had a Geiger counter, and he was like, nobody but me saw those numbers, and I have never seen those numbers in my life. That was the only time because of how high they
Wow,
were. And all the trees and they were like in a perfect circle. All the trees ended up having some type of radiation in them as well. And I think they cut one or two of the trees that were in that circle, and you can see in the rings, like there was like a burn mark in the rings. So like the UFO was there, all the rings were perfect and healthy, and then there's like this burn ring, and then they were perfect and healthy after that.
that's
And
crazy.
they had I don't know what they're called, but the tree scientist people, they had some of them look at the core samples, and they pretty much said that it was X amount of years from when that happened. It was exactly the amount of years from when Travis got abducted, where there was that burn mark in the core sample.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's like literal physical evidence of that. That's why like one of his case is one of the more documented, like Betty and Barney Hill. Like there's the her dress and everything like that, and they, can't explain. I'm trying to see if I think if there's anything else on his because there is more detail of the story. Like he's been interviewed on like Jimmy Church, and I would have to actually listen to that to remember most of it. But like at first he was like freaked out, like he felt like he was scared, and he got abducted, and they were testing him, and he was terrified. And then it was like years later where he tried to look at it differently, and then was like, wait a minute, no, they saved me. Like they weren't it wasn't evil intentions, they were trying to help me. So then he kind of changed how he was when he was being interviewed. And so people were like, why did you, flip? Why were you saying that it was bad and now it's good? And he was like, well, think about it. Like back then I was terrified because you don't think things like that exist.
Yeah,
And
for
then,
sure.
he's on a ship with all these quote unquote creatures that he doesn't know what they are, and they're poking and prodding him and doing all this stuff to him, and he didn't know what to think of it. And then later in life's like, oh, they saved my life, that's what that was about. So now he has like more of a positive outlook on it. And I guess when they made the movie Fire in the Sky, he didn't really have much of a say, unfortunately. So that's why like Hollywood just took the idea and ran with it as they
Yeah,
usually do.
yeah. But yeah, like Katie was mentioning in our podcast last week, there's a part of the ranch where there's a UFO that there's still traces of where it was, and she says they've flown drones over that spot before,
Yeah.
and within like 30 seconds, the drone is completely dead.
Dead. Yep. That happens at Skinwalker too. Yeah.
So
That
that's like,
happened somewhere else. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts now. I'll remember randomly. But yeah, that happened in a different UFO case as well, where there's like a crop circle from the UFO, and whenever drones are flown over it, they just fucking die.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's all that I have for Travis right now, but that's pretty much like the gist of his story.
Okay.
Ugh. Like there's more details. Like he has a book and everything. I haven't I don't actually that's one of the few books I don't have that I want. It's the same thing kind of like with Betty and Barney Hill. I did not get a chance to go to that site when I was in New Hampshire because it's actually more in the middle of New Hampshire and we were in Massachusetts, so we were at the
Okay.
bottom.
Yeah.
um
Um, what, um, what else did you text me today?
well if like I know a little
Oh,
bit about
Clifford
Atlantis.
Stone. That's the name I was
Oh,
trying to look
Clifford
for.
Stone, yeah. So I was planning to rewatch one of the things that one of his interviews. I just did not have the time, as you know, what happened in my personal
Yeah.
life. But yeah, so Clifford Stone, he was in, I believe it was the army, and he was part of the crash retrieval program that the government had. So whenever a UFO would crash, or if they shot it down, he was part of the team that would go pick everything up, bodies, parts, anything. So he said that when he was doing that in the army, he probably saw like over 175 different types of extraterrestrials. And
Wow.
like it happened a lot in Vietnam. There was actually a type of extraterrestrial that was in the ground, so it was, I think it was like kind of like an iguana type of extraterrestrial, like a lizard type, but not a reptilian.
Okay.
So he talked about those a lot and bringing those specimens back. And then there's the EBEs, which there's different types of EBEs. I can't remember how many. And those range from, 3.5 feet tall to over 7 feet tall. So like the one that I saw uh when I just got into the CE5 stuff, I think that was an EBE, but it was a different type because of the fact of how tall it was, and it looked like a gray, but it had more of a bulbous head.
Okay.
Um but yeah, there's different types of EBEs, and like they pretty much all of the extraterrestrials that he ever came into contact with were friendly. They no None of them ever tried to harm them. Like, and what sucks is because he always felt so horrible because if there were survivors, there were times where he had to kill them. And
Okay.
he hated that. Like when he gets interviewed for that, you could his he starts like crying and stuff, and it's because he is a very, very good soul, and he hated doing what he had to do. Um, so I think I brought this up the last time, so I'll just quickly in 1952 there's this famous photograph of the White House, and there's like I think 8 white lights like kind of around it, and that was from one of the retrievals. There was an EBE that was fully alive, like he was kind of hurt, but he Clifford didn't have the order to kill, so he brought him back, and there's like the secret bunker in the White House underneath it that they were keeping the extraterrestrial, and he kind of became friends with Clifford while he was there. I think he was there for a week or two, and he was like, "My people are coming, please help me." And so Clifford helped him escape it, like right when they were gonna come, because ETs are telepathic. He was talking to his people while he was in
Hmm.
captivity, and he's like, "My people are coming for me. Like, can you please help me get back home? I have a family." And so Clifford pretty much broke him out at the exact time when that ET's like family was coming for him. So that's why there's all of the quote UFOs and white lights around the White House on that day because that was the rescue mission for that
Okay.
extraterrestrial. Yeah. That's like one of my favorite stories he's told. Yeah, he actually had interactions with, oh God, I can't remember its name, but when he was a kid, when we're kids, our parent, well, you're a parent, the imaginary friend thing.
Yep.
So he had a quote imaginary friend, and it was actually an extraterrestrial, and it was, I think it was Clifford in the future. So it was his own soul that was visiting him as an extraterrestrial.
Interesting.
Um, I can't remember his name though. He called him something, and it was really funny, and I can't remember what it was. Um, but he pretty much helped him throughout his whole life and taught he they were bonded and they talked throughout his whole life and he's the one that told Clifford that he was, empathic and he had different abilities and everything and that the work he was going to do he wasn't going to enjoy it, but later on in life, he would be able to talk about it and help other people understand that it's not just us. There's
Yeah.
many, many, many other beings out there. So that was pretty much Clifford's life mission after he left the army was um doing like conferences. I think he's got some books out and he was interviewed and then it sucks I found out about him and then like a year later after I found out about him he passed away in 2021. So I was like, "Oh, I wanted to meet him
Yeah.
so bad."
So going back, you were talking about the EVE and the ground, the iguana. I just random question popped in my head. Do you think extraterrestrials have like tech on the planet, kind of like War of the Worlds, like where they're underground?
Oh yeah, there's definitely civilizations under like I also believe kind of in the not Middle Earth, kind of like the Hollow Earth theory, but not
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think there are ecosystems down there that we just don't know. Well, regular people don't know about. The secret government organizations do, but we don't know about it. Because there's the is it the Navajo, I think, have the ant people legend where um so oh God, when was it? I don't remember what year it was, but the Navajo were rescued by these ant people because they're something was happening and like there was going to be mass genocide and the ant people came up through the the caves in the ground and were like, come with us, we'll save you and everything. So a bunch of the Navajo went with them and stayed with them for a certain amount of time and then after I think it was some type of like nuclear thing, but a very, very long time ago. After everything cleared, they were able to go back up onto the surface, and then that's their origin story or their one of the um myths that or whatever you want to call it that they pass down orally. Like that's native a lot of Native Americans have the oral traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how their people knew the ant people from in the inner earth and how they saved them however many years ago. And then there's this the Ponte that I was talking about. They're in the Sandia Mountain in New Mexico. And then a lot of Asian countries talk about like these lizard type people. Even actually in LA there's the lizard people quote myth or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, when was it? The 80s? The 70s or I can't remember when it was, but there were like constant reports of people seeing lizard people going in and out of like the manholes and then people were getting taken from like the lizard people were taking them and bringing them down into the manholes and people saw that. Like there's newspaper clippings and stuff of that. It's gonna drive me nuts. I don't remember what years that was, but that was like relatively recently if you think about it.
Yeah.
I'm
So
trying to think
going
of
into lizard people, you brought up earlier today too, the reptilians.
yeah. So that everybody has different views on that. I'm not one of the people that thinks everything is perfect and loving. If there ever was a negative extraterrestrial, it would be the reptilians or the Dracos, as they're known as well. Um, because they're like a war species. So thousands of years ago, there was I think it's called the Orion Wars, and that's when like Lyra and the civilizations from Orion were pretty much battling and being taken over by the Dracos, and a lot of them um fled and ended up on Earth, and that's actually kind of correlates into Atlantis. That's how Atlantis got started. Was be-
Okay.
I think it was the Pleiadians and the Lyrans like came to Earth like as refugees um because of the Dracos that were pretty much planet killers, if you want to put it that way. Like that's like in their DNA, they have to conquer.
Yeah.
There's I'm trying to think how to word this right. I've seen lots of interviews from other people that are in like the secret space program and shit that the United States has, and there's people like literally on Mars and the moon, and they like the Nazis were in league with the Dracos. So that
Okay.
so that's how they got certain technology, and why they were Hitler was so fascinated with the occult is from the Dracos communicating with them. And that's why, like, for a while there, they were literally decimating everybody. Like, they
Yeah.
were winning the war for a while. And that's all because of the Dracos' help, because that's what they wanted, because they wanted, to conquer here.
Hmm.
And then different like the Galactic Federation and other species were like, okay, that's it. No, you're done. So they kind of banished them, and they're not allowed to fully interact with humans, but they can like suggestions and like the devil on your shoulder type of stuff. They're allowed to do that. They do shapeshift, and there have been videos that have surfaced throughout the years of like certain people in power where it looks like their eyes change or like their throat is different. Like it'll look like a human throat and then it'll go out almost like a frog and then
Hmm.
it'll be a human throat again.
Okay.
There's footage like that. Um, Obama's one of them, which I believe that. Queen of England was another one that like there's some really weird footage of her where like she legit like the news is like the camera's going and like she turned her head and it literally looked like a snake for a split second
I
and
think
then
I've heard that before.
yeah, like it's really creepy, but there's a lot of footage like that, and it's from like early 2000s, 90s, 80s, before AI was a thing. And like at first it was like, "Oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist." Okay, sure. And now people are like, maybe that's true."
Yeah.
I do think that there are reptilians in power, as well as like the secret government organizations, and they're disguised as people, like certain generals and stuff like that. So they are kind of controlling the human race, but in the background, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah, it does.
That's my theory, and that's what I think at least.
But yeah, there's like, so many different conspiracies theories out there that, it's just like so interesting.
I know, like once you go down the rabbit hole, it's kind of hard to get out.
Oh, I know. And it's kind of like, you know, doing the podcast, like, paranormal's fun, but it's like I kind of want to change it up a little bit and going deeper down the rabbit hole. And
Right.
there's this one, I honestly don't know what the guy's name is, but I found him on Facebook, and his profile on Facebook is down the rabbit hole.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
So I'm in the process of, setting up a podcast with him or her, and then, other people just kind of like, do something a little different.
Right. My one friend Brandon, he has a podcast and he actually did like a survey of what people want to see more, and it's actually cryptid and like ET abductions and stuff like that. And he's like, "Yeah, it's a paranormal podcast, but people want more cryptid stories and extraterrestrial stuff." Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so that's becoming a little bit more because I mean, if you think about it, a lot of people start with the ghost stuff, like the investigations and spirits and all of that. And then they start kind of like we just said going down the rabbit hole, and then it's like, wait a minute, what about Bigfoot and what about this, what about that? And that's why I call myself a paranormal investigator. I don't like the term hunt, like ghost hunter, not huge on
Hmm.
that, but I also research, and also I call myself a researcher because I liked all of it, like ever since I was young. My first, well, aside from the paranormal activity that I had going on, um, the first thing I became obsessed with was Nessie,
Okay,
the Loch Ness
that's a good
monster.
one.
So like I like lake monsters when it comes to like cryptid stuff. I love lake monsters. And then Bigfoot as well. And then like I have a friend who saw Dogman as well. So like I think what it is there's a lot of different I don't want to say dimensions, but there's a lot of stuff and the veils are starting to thin a little bit.
Yeah.
So more and more stuff is happening and people are slowly seeing the other stuff that's around us that we just can't see.
Yeah. Well, like for like Indiana State Sanatorium, one of my theories is there's so many entrances to that location that aren't secured. And I don't think there it's just like everything paranormal. I think there's cryptids there as well because like
Hmm.
I've heard people say there's reports of like Bigfoot sightings in the area. So what
Oh.
if Bigfoot's going in the sanatorium
Oh.
and like roaming around and camping out in there?
Yeah, that's possible. Like I've never been there and I don't know much about that place. But I've heard, stories of like how it is very active. Um, Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that is happening.
Well, because like when we were there back in June before we did Billy Creek, we were there during the day, and Natalie and a couple of her friends, they were off somewhere like in the psych ward part. They were like on the third or fourth floor,
Mm-hmm.
and they had something hissing at them.
Ooh.
And of course, Natalie wasn't recording, but just like the video I saw afterwards of like her trying to explain it and like her reaction, it's just like insane. But yeah, there was like, so again, it could have been a spirit hissing at them, or it could have been something else. They never saw it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, like where I grew up, I always thought it was, well, at first I always thought it was demons, and then I, got older, and then I was like, okay, maybe it was just like shadow people that didn't want me on the property and they were protecting the Indian burial ground. And nowadays, after seeing all the different Bigfoot stuff, I'm like, oh my God, maybe it was Bigfoot we had in the woods because of all
Right.
the stuff that correlates with Bigfoot activity what happened there. And I'm like, huh, interesting. I mean, it would make sense. It was a like a certain amount of wooded area. Then across the street was the golf course. So where would he go? They would be in the woods.
Right.
And I also think that they're kind of interdimensional though as well. So that's why you can't see them when they're there.
Yeah. And like Indiana State, there's like so much woods around that building.
I wouldn't be surprised if like Sasquatch are in any area that is decently wooded. Like we have some woods literally like in our parking lot pretty much. So it's like we have our parking lot and then there's this small section of woods and for a little while there, I don't know what it was, but it was throwing shit at me.
Oh, geez.
Because my parking spot is the last one that and it's like 10 feet from the woods and I would get out of my car and I would hear rocks like getting thrown at me, and then my stomach would was in knots, and I would like literally run to the freaking door to go into the apartment.
Nice.
And then there was this one time Steve and I were going for a walk, and it's pretty much a forest preserve. So there's the small section of woods by us, and then not even a half mile up the road, there's a forest preserve on each side of the road. And then there's actually like an entrance on each side, like gravel, so you could go into the forest preserve. You're not supposed to, but there's no gate. So we were going for a walk, and then we just started going up that one path, and my stomach started to do the thing again where like it was in knots. And well, when lightning bugs were more prevalent, before humans pretty much killed them, I called that area Lightning Bug Grove, because in the summertime, when we would go up there at night, literally it was just lightning bugs. It was beautiful. And so, I was like, I want to go to Lightning Bug Grove. So we went up there, and I'm looking at all the lightning bugs and enjoying it. And then I got that pit in my stomach, and I'm like, oh. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. So we're walking and stuff, and I could still feel it, like whatever it was right next to us in the woods, keeping pace with us and watching us. And I wasn't saying anything. And then Steve was like, babe, I don't feel right. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. Something feels off. I don't feel right. And I'm like, okay, well, let's turn around then, because I haven't felt right in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we turned around and started going, to walk back out onto the street. And you could hear something in like the gravel, like one or two steps after we would stop. And then we stopped, and I don't know, I think he heard it because he shone his flashlight and got his knife out. But we heard like crunching gravel running at us. And
Okay.
I didn't even think about it. My body just booked it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And like, because the last thing I remember is seeing Steve like flashlight knife turn, and I was gone. And then I was like, oh my God, I realized what I did. And so I started going back. He's like, what the fuck? Why'd you leave me? I was like, you didn't see anything, did you? He's like, no, but I heard something. So yeah, that was a long time ago, but that's, I don't know what it was. It sounded big, and like you'll see like a very tall, like black, I don't really want to call it a shadow, but like there like just something that's really tall and black in the woods, not a spirit where, our size. It was like
Yeah.
huge. And then there's been times where I've seen orbs there as well, like beautiful like bluish white colored orbs. And this one time it was like the size of a basketball, and it was by this creek that runs back there. And I gave Steve my night vision camera, so he's like playing with it. And I just happened to look up, and it was a big basketball, and it went whoop and just flew up. I was like, whoa, like that was really close. So that, I don't know, I haven't seen one since then, but that area, I don't know what it is. There's something over there, and at first it used to scare the crap out of me. And then I kind of changed my viewpoint, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be afraid if, and then I'll be like, hey, just so I'm gonna come in here. I mean, no disrespect, and then like something's there, but it doesn't have that threatening feeling anymore.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
like
have y- have you watched the Paranormal Mysteries at all with Dave Schrader and Cindy and Shane?
not for a while.
Did you see the Ashmore Estates episodes?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch those.
All right.
But that's one of the really big reasons why I can't wait to go. Like I already was excited, but now it's like, oh man, they got all of this. And then I just saw Cindy a couple weeks ago, like in
That's
person.
what you're saying.
Yeah, and I asked her what her favorite location was that they went to for paranormal mysteries, and she was like, oh, without question, Ashmore Estates. I've never been there, and I didn't really know anything about the building at all, and that place was active.
Yeah, so when we were first there, it's been July of 2024, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We were only there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and we were getting quite a bit.
Oh wow, cool.
And it's just like, yep, can't wait to get back.
Yeah, Robin, the owner, says that he actually gets more activity during the day than at nighttime. Because
So
if you think of
I'm kind of contemplating the idea. I'm not quite for sure yet, but I was looking at the calendar the day before where they're is still open. I'm like, I wonder if I should book it and do 2 nights back to back.
well, that's up to you.
Yep, the thought is there. I'm like, it's kind of tempting. I don't know.
Yeah, like Robin was saying how it's more active during the day and stuff, and it's just like I'm so interested to see what will happen because never been there, and I've heard stories and I've seen stuff like they got a paranormal mystery. Somebody had a laser grid, like one of those green ones. I've got
Yep,
one of those,
so do I.
and you see this black mist kind of just float up through the laser grid. It was really cool.
Yeah, so we're definitely excited to get back there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm excited too. It'll be fun.
Yep. But anyways,
Oh
I think
wow, it's already 8:45. That went by
yeah,
really fast.
yep, we will continue on next week.
Oh yeah, yeah, with our friend.
Yep. And then we can talk to her a little bit about her investigation she just had at the ranch and
Yeah.
some other things. I'm gonna go back into her podcast a little bit and see what other interesting stuff I can find.
Yeah, I haven't actually listened to her podcast yet. I'll have to do that too before Tuesday.
Yeah, it's on my list. It's just like there's not enough time in the day.
Right. I feel that.
Yep.
All right, well then I guess I will talk to you later then.
Yep, yep. We'll definitely be in touch before next Tuesday.
All right, awesome.
All right, have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Talk to you later.
Yep, bye.
Bye.